This is American Weimar. In 1918, when it had lost the Great War and abandoned its monarchy, Germany formed a constitutional democracy known as the Weimar Republic. Almost from its inception, the Weimar Republic was torn apart by hostile political forces on the left and right, but predominantly by right-wing interests representing the military, the financial elite, state bureaucracy, education, and the press. In January 1919, Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, leaders of Spartacusbund, a precursor of the German Communist Party, were brutally murdered by members of the ultranationalist Freikorps. Rosa was shot in the head inside a car and dumped in the Landwehr Canal. Right-wing extremists began assassinating leaders of the extreme left: Hugo Haas, Gustav Landauer, Leo Jogiches, and Eugene Levine, then quickly moved to the center and center-right, liquidating Walter Rathenau and Matthias Erzberger, both members of the government at the time of their murder. The Weimar Republic came to an end in 1933 when Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. Weimar symbolizes democracy under siege. American Weimar describes the threat that modern forces of ideology, corporate culture, and technology pose to our constitutional democracy.
I'm Dennis Weiser, poet, novelist, and philosopher. Over the next several months, I'll be exploring this metaphor of American Weimar in a series of short videos on topics like economics, education, politics, and religion. I'll be talking about literature and about poetry and fiction, and about the role these play in the life of our American culture. I will also introduce and promote websites and other online resources that are excellent, reliable, and trustworthy. Lincoln put it this way: "As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew." The good news is, we are up to the task at hand, and equal to the difficulties and complexities that surround us. By the way, I am not predicting that America is doomed to go the way of Germany's Weimar Republic. But I chose the series name to show what the real stakes are, for all of us. To quote Abraham Lincoln, "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present." The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise to the occasion. Although in our case it's more accurate to say the dogmas of our somnambulistic past. For America has been asleep for 30 years, put into a deep sleep, some might say a coma, by that walking, talking, soporific Ronald Reagan.
Did Ronald Reagan have full-blown Alzheimer's when he took office in 1981? It's a question. Here's the sporty Reagan. I feel a shamanic epiphany coming on. And there it is. Mo Larry cheese! In 1984, Ronald Reagan told the American people, quote, "The defense policy of the United States is based on a simple premise. We do not start wars. We will never be the aggressor," unquote. Which brings us to the case of George W. Bush and the Bush doctrine of preemption.
The doctrine of preemption asserts that the United States can attack any nation or group that we feel threatened by. So much for Ronald Reagan.
Even a tarnished president like George W. Bush was a role model for somebody. Who do you think he could have been a role model for? How about Israel's Netanyahu? He certainly picked up on the Bush doctrine, murdering thousands of Palestinians, sealing the Gaza like a tomb, bulldozing Palestinian homes in the name of the war on terror and Israeli new construction. Or Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who slaughters his own people with impunity, tortures and imprisons intellectuals and dissidents. Talk about repression. Ever wonder why? 9/11 made George W. Bush demonic. But who was Bush's role model? His dad? No way. Jesus? No. Buddha? Hardly. Gandhi? Get serious. What about Vladimir Putin? What Bush saw when he looked into Putin's soul was his own reflection. Putin launched wars in Chechnya in 2005 and 2006. He invaded Georgia in 2008, all on the pretext of fighting terror. Where do you think he got that idea? Scores of journalists have been murdered under Putin every year since he came to power in 2000, and it continues under Russia's current president, Medvedev.
By supporting the Shah of Iran's thug dictatorship for decades, we helped create the very conditions that led to Khomeini's return from exile, the 1979 hostage crisis, and Iran's present repressive jihadist regime. Why did we do that, I wonder? And why did the U.S. Army's School of the Americas change its name in 2001 to Western Hemisphere Institute for Security Cooperation? Is that a joke? Since 1946, they've trained death squads in Africa, Argentina, Chile, Honduras, El Salvador, Mexico. What are they, trying to pretend they're an NGO?
Our featured web link is citizenjoe.org, a multi-partisan not-for-profit website that provides unspun information on a variety of topics from business to national security. This is a really well-organized resource that's easy to navigate. They've got a budget tracker, Civics and Econ 101 primers, and a Rockinist Research Sites page. Hey, it's your democracy too. Check it out.
Crash Dummies is the title of a novel I wrote. Ostensibly, it is about CIA shenanigans in Central America during the Reagan era, but it touches on a lot more. Ancient Maya, sorcery, time travel, friendship, love, politics, and religion. I spent 10 years writing Crash Dummies, a send-up of the romance, sci-fi, fantasy, and spy thriller genres. Crash Dummies not only explains America's church-state confusion, its propensity for violence, and why sex only and marriage got to be the official norm in America. The Secret History of the Origins of the CIA in Chapter 24 sheds light on the inability of 16 agencies comprising the American intelligence community to avert 9/11.
Crash Dummies is available in both print and ebook formats at my web store, where you can read generous previews from all my books.
That's our show. You can find links to this video on YouTube, Facebook, Plaxo Pulse, and Twitter. I'll show you my email address and bookstore URL. See you next time.
This is American Weimar.